detailed application of this code, attributed to Lavoisier, is the foundation on which the term upcycling was conceived. Upcycling, or the blue economy, is a concept developed by Gunther Pauli by recovering waste from one industry and reusing it as a raw material in another industry. So construction industries play a significant role in the sustainable development of urban areas. With the increase in urbanization, construction and demolition waste has many side effects, such as environmental degradation. The major construction wastes are glass, plastic, wood, steel, surplus mortar, surplus concrete, broken bricks, green scraps, and excavated soil. In the Philippines, under Republic Act 9003, the primary long-term method of solid waste disposal is the sanitary landfill. As recycling of plastic waste has been found to be effective, different ways of recycling these wastes have been extensively explored by the packaging industry. The construction industry is a promising sector where plastic waste can be beneficially used for various applications, mainly because it is the largest industry in several economies and the highest consumer of raw materials. Such examples of plastic waste which show potential for upcycling are polycarbonate and PVC. Polycarbonate can be used to create sustainable plastic building supplies since it's a thermoplastic that can be melted down and reused several times. It has high impact resistance and transparency, so it's often used for applications that require a high level of strength and clarity. PVC, on the other hand, is widely used for plastic construction materials, as it's inexpensive and durable. Due to the combined characteristics of polycarbonate and PVC plastics, it's clear that the potential for these wastes to be upcycled and applied back into construction is paramount. So the definition of upcycling used for this thesis from the World Design Organization is the process of converting waste materials or useless products into new materials or products of better quality or higher environmental value. I believe that it's paramount for me to distinguish the difference between upcycling and recycling, as I have found through my extensive research that certain parts of their definitions from various resources seem to overlap, and the processes which are utilized are not clearly distinguished. Create something new out of the used waste, reinvent, rework, and obtain new forms out of the materials used without losing their original characteristics that identify them. So the main problem which this study aims to resolve is the excess PVC and polycarbonate waste from construction and demolition that are not released from collection sites and the landfills, subsequently polluting our environment. The second premise would be that there would be concerns as to where and how the plastic waste would undergo upcycling, as the process is distinct as compared to other thermoplastics. To present the effectiveness of upcycled plastic waste materials, specifically PVC and polycarbonate, in comparison to traditional materials commonly used in interior design. The second objective would be to systematically incorporate upcycled PVC and polycarbonate materials into interior spaces, considering both functional and aesthetic aspects. So the potential of studies such as these are significant, as they often have the possibility to alter the lives of people and possibly contribute to the built environment in a sustainable manner. Leveraging the strategic use of environmentally responsible, upcycled polycarbonate PVC waste sourced from construction and demolition to create transformative and sustainable interior spaces through the concept of biomorphism. The theoretical framework of this thesis begins with the potential significance of the study. Biomorphism, cradle-to-cradle, and adaptive reuse to bring about upcycling environmentally friendly PVC and polycarbonate. The concept and key points which will be focused on are listed below each of the theories and concepts. So the conceptual framework begins with biomorphism in order to create an impact on the public perspective and assure overall wellness. The theory of cradle to cradle will then come into play. The process of the concept begins by collecting and quantifying the desired plastic waste, then sending it to be processed and then distributed, which would result in environmentally friendly upcycled PVC and polycarbonate. And quantified based on the type of plastic. They are only categorized as residual, recyclable, special waste, or hazardous waste, and then weighed before being shipped off to the landfills to produce new products. Thermoplastics can be remolded but decompose in harmful chemicals. So the first one would be recovery from demolition sites is challenging. The second one would be processing and preparation facilities are needed. And the third one would be heat treatment has drawbacks. So the manager, I guess, of the MRF, the second step would be the PVC and polycarbonate waste collected were then thoroughly washed and with water and soap in order to remove any dirt used for the lighting fixtures, while also preventing the design from being overly dominated by the texture of the upcycled plastic waste. An 80 gram to 150 gram ratio was chosen for furniture design to achieve the most stable and durable mixture. Polycarbonate utilized a mixture of 20 grams to 150 grams. And the volume of the prototype calculated was 218.4 cubic centimeters. Which therefore the volume of the resin would be 192 on the nature. These designs utilize materials and forms to emulate organic structures, providing visual and tactile influence to the interior walls. Benefits include adding depth and dimension to wall surfaces, creating sensory-rich environments that promotes stress reduction and mental well-being. Public bench above would be one of the upcycled polycarbonate lighting fixtures, and on the right you could see the rock formation cladding with the FFN glass. Aside from that, another lighting fixture and piece of furniture. Collection and estimation. PVC and polycarbonate waste in construction and demolition in Taguig City are collected at the Taguig Materials Recovery Facility. Estimating statistics for waste volume involves quantifying waste processed through the MRF, which is something that could be done through this thesis, as I have already created connections with the head of the MRF. Challenges in upcycling: ensuring the quality and cleanliness of upcycled materials, managing variability in material properties. There are design limitations due to restricted color schemes and material constraints. So PVC usually comes in orange, blue, white. Efforts to streamline the recycling process and establish robust materials standards are crucial. And encouraging innovative applications aligned with global trends towards circular economy practices. So economic feasibility, cost analysis for mixture ratios of upcycled polycarbonate and PVC to resin. So as you can see, the cost per cubic cm is actually quite low and, in my opinion, very feasible. I would have 4 recommendations for this thesis study. The first one would be to explore proper use of eco-resin instead of epoxy resin. And by eco-resin, I mean biodegradable. Through my research, I found one that was soy-based resin, but due to unforeseen circumstances, that was not a possibility. The second recommendation would be to develop further experimentation for the upcycled PVC and polycarbonate materials in order to get accurate figures such as strength and durability, translucency, and possibly thermal properties. The third recommendation would be to explore afterlife of epoxy resin prototypes. One of the benefits of utilizing epoxy resin, aside from eco-resin, is that once the eco-resin begins to decompose, the harmful chemicals of the PVC and polycarbonate would also begin to show and excrete. So with the epoxy resin, you would be able to also upcycle it even further because it's also a thermoplastic. So you could either shred it or you could melt it down and then reutilize everything in the prototypes, for example. And the last recommendation would be to make connections between MRFs in order to create more accurate estimates for statistics regarding PVC and polycarbonate waste from construction and demolition. So during my interview with Nick Asial from the GIG MRF, he was actually extremely happy to provide me with whatever PVC and polycarbonate because he seems to be an advocate. So I believe that making connections with different MRFs will also allow for accurate estimates of statistics regarding construction and demolition waste. And lastly, partnerships and materials development. So there have been programs within the GIG LGU in which they support communities and waste management. They have also funded certain recycling or upcycling initiatives. And aside from that, the Pink Flamingo and Upcycle Manila are two private companies which have also invested within their community to support programs, sustainable programs.
We now turn over the floor to our four distinct jurors for the interaction with our presenter, proponent.